Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Mike. You've already got me sitting here whistling "Oh Canada" this morning. Oh man, I've not heard a word out of Mr. Zorn's. I may be solo today. Let me check my email. I'm not sure what's going on with that boy. I've tried to call him. Nope, nothing there. So how's Mike today? I just sent Mr. Mark a note, and I'll see if he answers or not. I don't know if something's up with him. I'll have to. He's funny about answer. Sometimes he don't like to answer his phone, so I don't. I don't know if he. So, Mike, how long can you hang around, buddy? I know you. I know you said you couldn't stay. Good morning, Diana, and congratulations to your father. If I read Mike's note correctly, and if I didn't, please, I apologize. I believe he said that your dad is 90. Is it today? You got a couple of minutes? Well, I hope your dad has you enjoy his birth. He enjoys his birthday. I'll get it out here in a minute. Whoop, there he is. Oh, there he is.
Whoop, there he is.
Good morning.
He's having technological difficulties.
Technological difficulties.
Yes, sir.
Diana says that we were just talking her father's 90th birthday tomorrow.
90th year.
Dave?
Good morning, everybody.
The donut guy's here. Ask him if he's got any left. Dave made a special trip just to make sure he got here in time for donuts. You've not mentioned donuts today, so I'm thinking you didn't bring any. So how's the Wyoming's oranges?
We're good.
You're good. How's your weather?
We got buku. We got extra dogs, and the kids are off wandering to state swimming. And
Oh boy, are you by yourself?
no, hell no.
Uh-oh, Mike said he didn't bring any, Dave. I'm sorry, buddy. You'll have to try again next week. Maybe I can get out in time next week to go get some. I started to this morning. I felt like I was running late. I didn't really sleep last night. I got up about 5:15. Seemed like it took me forever just to get out of the house and get up here this morning. Trying to uh, take a shower, make coffee, eat a bite of breakfast. What else was I doing?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I can't figure it out. It takes me forever to do anything anymore. The Not to change the subject, but I saw something last night that John Kramer is going to go ride in at PRCA for a little while to see if he can't make the
Who is?
John Kramer. I'm
Oh,
saying
he
it.
is.
Huh?
He's gonna go rodeo now.
Yeah, he bought it. He got his license. He was on. They interviewed him on what's that Western Sports Roundup or whatever that show is they do on the Cowboy Channel. And I just happened to click by there, and they were going to do an interview with him, and I thought I'd listen, see what he was doing, just cause I always kind of liked his dad. He I didn't realize his dad rode in the national finals one year. Matter
He
of fact,
did.
won the average. I didn't remember that, and I remember him riding a lot.
That's the first time I ever saw him dance.
Oh really? Oh really? Okay.
That dance he used to do with Flint.
Yeah, he was. They were talking about that too. His John was saying that his dad. Apparently, John got to get on the shark cage or whatever with some. I don't know if it was with Flint. He's not back working, is he?
Part time.
Is he? Well, maybe that's what it was. And he said he got to do the dance. He said he'd always wanted to do it like his dad did. He said, but I can't dance like dad. He said dad was a really, really good break dancer in his day. Break dancer to bull rider. Mike said hi, by the way. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Good morning, Mike. How are
He,
things in lovely Canada?
what are you guys? Have you had any snow or more cold weather out of this last fronts?
No, we got a bunch of rain last week and during the middle of the week. And then yesterday was beautiful. It was really, really windy, but it was beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous
So
today. Looks
I
like
had to go ride a horse, and I'll probably do that again today. It's sunny outside. If it warms up a little bit, I'll probably do that again here in a bit.
Diana says, "Lovely Canada is chilly this morning." Well, what do you refer? What are you calling chilly, Diana? Canada's great. Had a little bit of wind and snow yesterday. Now's the USA doing well. We're here this morning at my house, USA. The sun is shining, and it's probably going to be in the 70s.
Holy buckets.
It was 60 something yesterday. Well, maybe not. It was only 30 something when I came out. I didn't look to see what the weather forecast said, but it was 70 a couple of days ago. I had to adjust my heat out here again because it went from cold to hot and just like overnight, and I had to open the door and turn the heat off. And it's 54 already, so it's gonna warm up. Upper 60s, they're saying. Looks like they're saying by afternoon. So it'll be, and then it's supposed to be nice and sunny again tomorrow. It's going to be in the 70s. It's going to be nearly 80 by the end of next week.
Good God.
Too early for that. It's just not right. Good morning, Kay.
Good morning,
Minus
Kay.
18 Fahrenheit, going to be warming up next week. Minus 18. So why am I complaining about 67? But
You shouldn't be.
I shouldn't be. But see, I'd like to have about 48 maybe or 45. or at least for a couple more weeks, and then it can warm up. It's just too early. To
Well,
me, it seems too early. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't remember it ever being this warm this early. But I've been saying that now for a couple of years, so I guess it's maybe I'm wrong.
my
How's
temp-
South Carolina, Kay?
my temperature comfort zone is definitely narrowed.
Yeah, mine too.
I like it to get down to about 37 and warm up to about 52.
I can take that. Maybe on a hot day, get up to
I
about six.
like it. I like a tomato every now and again and things like that. So it needs to get warmer than that.
I was thinking maybe on a real hot day, get up to about 65, 67, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe on a real hot day.
On a real hot day.
Kay says it's going to be 77 tomorrow in South Carolina.
Yeah. And
And
cloudy.
okay, now we're right there because I'm
It'll
50.
be, it'll be dripping wet and 77 degrees.
Yeah,
100% humidity.
it's my phone says it's 54 here at the airport. I guess it's 54 today now, so we're about the same as you, except
That,
it's sunny. It's not cloudy.
you're about the same as who?
Kay, she said it was 54 and overcast where she's,
Oh, 54 and overcast.
and it's I don't know if it was 54 right here at the house. That 54 I think comes from the airport, and I'm not sure if it's Morristown Airport or Knoxville Airport. It's they're usually a couple degrees warmer than us, so I don't think it's 50. Well, it's warmed up. I want to say it was 40 something when I came in here this morning. Dave says it's nice 70s and sunny there. How warm is it supposed to get there today, Dave? 90, 80 something. I heard somebody talking about that the other day. It's already too hot even in Florida. 80
Oh, 80%. Yeah.
do what?
Kay said there's 80% humidity.
I heard somebody
That's that's too much. That's totally unacceptable behavior.
say you can tell you've been gone from back east for a long time.
I prefer I prefer it in the low digits.
Well, yeah, I'd kind of like that too sometime, most of the time. But I heard somebody say that Florida set I don't know what the temperature was, but for February they actually set a new high for this time of year, and I think it was in upper 80s.
Well, and it was just a few weeks ago we were talking about they were all going to freeze to death.
Well, they did, and you should see live streamers and streamers that I know that live down there and do a lot of Disney World stuff and that kind of thing. They've been showing all the dead plants that when the cold weather came through, man, it killed everything down there in some places. It's crazy. It didn't get that cold. I mean, I guess it got dipped below freezing one or two nights. But Dave, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but is that not the case that a lot of stuff's dead because of the weather? They showed a lot of brown plants. I know that it was going to get cold again the other night, and they were showing people covering up stuff. So I don't know, but then a couple of days ago, like I said, it set a new high temperature record for that day in February. Of course, February's almost over, I guess. We'll see. Well, how did that used to go? When March comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb. I can't remember what else that poem said. Kay says her daffodils are on. Well, now Kay, that's a good point because Brenda, we went to town a couple of days ago to pick up some prescriptions or something, and Brenda says, "Hey, look at all the daffodils." So their daffodils are starting to bloom here too, which seems a little early, but not I mean, they do bloom pretty early in the spring, but it just seems again, it's still February. Might be the last day of February, but it's still February. It is the last day of February.
It is. I was just going to say that. It
I
is the last year.
realize.
Unless this is one of them there weird leap years or something.
Well, I looked. It's not. I checked on that when I was scheduling my show, make sure it wasn't a leap year this year. And 1 month from today, Moi gets older.
1 month.
Another year older.
Well,
60.
you're older right now.
Huh?
You're older right now, and you're older right now, and now you're older again.
I'm older again. Yeah, Mel.
Never have figured that out.
uh, you're right, but it doesn't seem as drastic as when you change the number,
And amazing, you're older again.
I'm 68 and 300 and something days and so many minutes and seconds again and again. Hmm. Oh my goodness. Kay said I messed up several years back. When my mom passed, the daffodils didn't bloom for 2 years. I thought they were done. I planted hydrangeas but didn't dig up the daffodils. So now you got a mix. Hey, Jason
Mr.
Thibodeau.
Thibodeau.
I left the R out that time. I made sure I took my time and I said it correctly.
I just think it's fantastic that we got coon backsides on the even though he's displaced.
No, he's in Louisiana.
Oh, I thought he had gone to Florida.
No, I thought I might have said that one time. And they still live in Louisiana. I think they're in. Jason, are you up near? They're west of New Orleans, maybe north. I don't know if it's Shreveport. That's probably too far. I can't remember now, but I don't. They don't live in New Orleans, but
Shreveport. Shreveport. I got a buddy that's from Shreveport.
Oh,
that's how he says it. I'm from Shreveport.
A couple of Phil's buddies worked down there for a while. He's in central Louisiana. I knew he wasn't all the way down, but is that
he's probably out there like hand lining gators or something right now.
What a name for a parish.
Assumption Parish. That's also cool. They ain't counties.
I guess that's better than Consumption Parish.
Consumption Parish.
You do much fishing, Jason?
Much longer.
Yeah.
Uh,
Louisiana's supposed. Oh, the license plates used to say Sportsman's Paradise. I don't know if they still do or not.
They do.
Do they still, as far as you know?
I've been trying to put together a trip to Lake Calcasieu and go down there redfish and flounder fishing.
You saw those pictures that Dave Harrell had been.
Yeah, he went to Venice, I think, down the southeast corner.
He might have.
Where I'm going is the southwest corner. There's a bunch of big wildlife refuges right there, and it's lousy with gators, and it'll be a good wildlife trip. And
birds, lots of birds.
Buku birds. There's roseate spoonbills and all that stuff just by the gazillions. And
would you take your canoe or your kayak or whatever with you, or do you just go down there and find something to fish out of?
Well, we'll probably fly down there sometime and then
Uh,
just rent a boat.
well, it's harder to take your kayak that way.
It is. I took it to Texas, and because we drove down there and picked up Caitlin and went down to Kingsville, and
Yeah, I think you told me about that.
that was a good time. Man, it was hot down there though. Wow. It was in late May and it was well over 100 degrees.
Jason says don't do much fishing anymore and might be the only guy. He said probably the only one there that doesn't own a boat. That definitely would put you in a minority of people in Louisiana, Jason. I do believe.
But better than owning your own boat is having buddies that have their own boat. And
Yeah,
you just get to step in and go.
and you don't have to do the maintenance, and you don't have to worry
Yeah,
about.
none of that. None of that stuff.
I tell you about Cottrell. You met Steve on the show that one weekend. He we used to give him a hard time because he had a little boat, and it was just a John boat with a little tiller pusher on it, and he wa- he wasn't taking it out a lot. So every time he'd go fishing, he'd have to have the carburetor rebuilt. He'd have to put a battery in it. It was always something because he wasn't running it a lot, and
Right.
especially especially if you're running alcohol gas, uh, if you let it set, it gums up the jets and the carburetors just like that. I used to have an awful time with my motorcycle, or one of my motorcycles. The But he was always having to get the carburetor rebuilt or put a new battery in it. It was always one of them things. It was all usually because he'd been sitting there for. Hey, Mary Ellen, Mary Ellen, the other day, Mark. Mary Ellen did a show Wednesday night. Wednesday, sometime YouTube reshuffled all. They did something weird to their software or updated something. I don't know what they did, but it wouldn't let if you rent a chat room. She does like a trivia thing or a little show on variety show they call it on Wednesdays. And if you just type the
No, but hold on. You can't say that. And then,
wait a minute, can't say what part.
did you say a little Friday show or variety?
A variety show.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, you couldn't type it. If you typed, it didn't show up, but nothing came on the screen. It didn't show up. And somebody figured out that if you put an A on the end of your words, or at least an A on the end of the last word in a sentence, then it would show up. So everything had to be a Marka Zornza is living in Wyoming to get it to show up. It's the strangest thing. I don't know who figured that out. I mean, I know who came in there and said, "Hey guys, you can do it this way if you," but I don't know where he learned it. Somebody must have been sitting there all day long trying to figure. I don't know what they did, but they had everything all screwed up, which is normal. Somebody said maybe they had to unplug it, turn it off, and start over again. That's what they always told us, the IT guys. The computer wasn't working. They'd say, "Did you unplug it, or did you turn it off and turn it back on?" Well, yeah, this morning.
Which works most of the time.
Sometimes it does work. You're right. But it kind of aggravates you when that's what they always say. Oh, mercy. Good old days of computers. So, how's
Perhaps,
Oklahoma?
perhaps one of the worst inventions humans have ever developed.
But it's supposed to have been so great for us. I mean, it made it a
Uh,
lot easier. And
I,
Gave
spent
us
too much time sitting on my backside because of them.
gave us more leisure time. Mary Ellen, so how we've been doing around the country weather report. So how's Oklahoma today? Kay says she worked in IT for a while, and that was one of our first questions. Did you reboot? I guess after 80 degrees. Wow. So between here and there, it's in the 60s here, in the 80s in Oklahoma, and it's going to be in the maybe, did you say 50s in Wyoming or 30s?
50s.
50s.
Yeah, it's just freezing right now. It was 22 when I got up this morning. It's 32 now. So it'll probably make it.
Good morning, John. The surf bum has joined us.
There's a surf bomb.
I don't know if you saw all this.
I hope that he's melted out.
Well, his brother was up there, had been in New Jersey for a while. His brother lives up over the mountain here.
Right.
And John told me yesterday or day before that his brother had managed to get out and made it home. So I
Oh,
don't know
good.
if he had to shovel out the driveway or how, but they had quite a bit of snow for all of a sudden in February.
Well, New Jersey needs the moisture. So
They do. They needed the moisture.
we had almost 3 days in a row where it just rained all day long. Just rain, 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 rain. But the wind was blowing 60 and it
Well, that's the problem, though. See, when you're moist, you get moisture, and then the wind blows 60, it sucks all the moisture out and takes it to Nebraska.
exactly.
John says it's 50 there in New Jersey, and the snow is melting. Here's a little thing I'm trying to figure out. Again, Brendan and I went to town. It must have been day before yesterday, and I walked out of here Wednesday night. And I got down to the house and I told Brenda, I said, hey, it sprinkled rain while, I didn't even see it rain. After sometime between dark and when I walked out of here, it had rained just a little bit, just enough to wet the steps. And I went down the house and, didn't hear rain or anything. Brenda said she thought it rained during the night, but just a little bit. We drove down here to the creek and crossed it on the road, and it's up almost out of its banks. I don't know. I mean, it must have really rained, and we just didn't hear it, or we just didn't know about it, or somewhere up the road here, it rained hard because water was muddy and it was roaring in this creek down here. I mean, it was within inches of being out of the banks. Looked to me like it may have settled back down, but now we did have a bunch of rain earlier in the week, and I had water standing out here in the yard, which is a weird thing because I live on the side of a hill, and you'd think it wouldn't settle here anywhere. Behind the house, I understand because it comes down, it kind of hits the house, and I do have a low spot there. But out here, it's a slope. It's a gentle slope, but it's a slope. I know it's a slope because I walk up it and down it every day. And there's water standing out here in the grass that deep when I came out here the other morning. So maybe all that just built up over days, but suddenly the creek was up. It was way higher than I expected. Oh, let me get some things organized here and turn some things on. Since we're getting closer, we might as well start. I'm
probably going to leave you a little bit early today. So
okay. Well, that's fine.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
We're talking about Rodentia.
We always talk about Rodentia.
Well, but I'm talking about it in a more official capacity. I know we do talk about it a lot. I realize that, but we don't talk about all of it. We talk about some of it, mostly squirrels. And we're gonna I'm gonna go to micro squirrels. Is where I'm starting, and this is probably gonna be a
Tree,
couple of weeks.
exactly, John. Tree rats.
What was that? Oh,
Glad,
tree.
glad things are calming down for you, buddy.
I got to get out of here a minute. See what John said. Dad's house closed yesterday. Estate stuff is 99% done. And that was 18 months of stressful time. Bring on the spring. I'm glad that's about wrapped up, John. I didn't realize you had been working on it that long. And I'm glad you got through that. That's why his brother was up there, I think. And I'm glad that's you're winding that down. That's a good thing. Now, was that house up there, John, or was that house somewhere else? I'm a minute off. I just reset that. I thought I had it right. Now I may have may have slowed it down too much, or not sped it up quite enough. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. The but I am going to talk a little bit about some things. Um, we are going to talk about not tree rats, but ground ground rats, maybe. Um, I started out thinking I might talk about a whole lot of critters, and I'm going to, but there's so many chipmunks that's what we're talking about today is chipmunks. And I did not know this until I researched it because I had never thought about it. There's only one chipmunk that exists anywhere in the world outside of this continent.
Really?
Yeah, there's
Where's
one
it,
chipmunk, and
where's
that's
it at?
uh
Where's it at? In Russia?
Siberia and part of Asia. Like I don't, it goes down, but it's actually has spread some. And I'm gonna get to that. You may not be here. I'll talk about it now for just a minute. It is the Japanese. They and they do this with everything. I'm about decided. They made pets out of them, so that's it. They're common pets in Japan, but they've also apparently been taken over into Eastern or Western Europe, and they're kind of spreading out over there. So they're sort of taking over. They're kind of an exotic, invasive little critter over there, but they're the only one. They're the only chipmunk that exists anywhere outside of North America. I thought that was amazing. I mean, the whole world's got lots of rodents, and that's not like they don't have plenty. But I just didn't know that chipmunks were that special. Kay said she's glad probate's awful. Yeah, I got to get that fixed too. I got to work on that. Get my will straightened out, or get a will straightened out, or a trust, or something. That's the house I grew up in Britain, New Jersey, about 30 minutes north of him. My daughter and son-in-law bought it, and of course my grandson. Well, good for them, John. I didn't realize they were buying it. Now, is that the daughter that just got married, or is that I can't remember if he's got two daughters or one each now. I can't. I'm terrible. I'm terrible about that. He says he's got a great lawyer. Oh wow, you got in and out of probate in 2 months. That might be some kind of world record. I've never heard of probate going that fast. I mean, I've never had to deal with it, thank goodness. But I don't remember it ever being. I never heard anybody say it was easy. I got to get. I'll have to. I need to ask you about that, John. I need to. Somebody that's had some recent experience. I need to get a few things squared away. I am sure because I got stuff in this library that's worth a little bit of money, not much. I don't think that for a minute, but I got a few things, and I guess I need to make sure that they can be appropriately handled. Jennifer had a one more thing before I get down to nut cracking here. The Jennifer has an auction.
Yeah.
Jennifer, Kelly, and they've got a couple of really cool books on their auctions. They have a bookmark. It's a leather band. Go ahead if you need to do something. Then I'll tell you. They've got a book.
Just normal dog
Oh,
stuff.
that's okay. Jennifer has a book. It's leather bound, and it's in terrible shape. Have you ever known of anybody to oil a leather bound book?
I don't have a clue how you treat
I
them.
don't either. And she's got several of them in this particular auction. Whoever this is collected such things. But she's got a 1746 edition of one of Leonardo da Vinci's books that he wrote, and it's got drawings of his machine
Cool.
and how to use a lever. And she showed a picture of somebody using a lever and explaining it in his court. But here's the thing: it's in Latin or in Italian or some language I can't
Yeah,
read.
it's in his language,
His
not
language,
yours.
but it's leather bound. Johnson, my brother, has been great with this. He gave me full control, a lot easier with him being in Tennessee and all. Oh yeah, John, that's kind of how things went with my dad and my brother. I didn't live here for a long time in this neck of the woods, and my brother kind of took care of all that too. Because he lived up here, and but there wasn't much to take care of by that point, so it wasn't a big deal. But they'd already sold the house and stuff. The but Cool book, but I was trying to figure out because all those old books like that are not
You
all.
don't need it, dude. If you can't read it, you don't need it.
Well, that's true. I ain't buying it. I'm not looking to buy it. But I was trying to figure out what would you do to protect or to preserve a leather book? Because
Well, you got to clean the leather and then oil it.
yeah, but if you oil it, would it
But if
soak?
you oil it, you're going to get that on the pages, and that's going to be a bad deal.
Yeah, that's
It's
exactly what I
it's
was trying to
probably, unfortunately, it's probably
not much you can do with it. I
needs to go to like Hogwarts or something.
maybe. I wonder if you could put beeswax on it or something like that, and would soak in enough to preserve,
Maybe.
and it wouldn't soak through. Maybe I don't know, but that has put me in a quant. I've been thinking about that this week a lot because I was thinking, now what if I ever bought one? How would I protect it? Because the backs were just cracked really bad. The spine and stuff, the leather was just broken apart and cracked. I mean,
Yeah,
it
and
was still there, but it was in pieces.
I mean,
Like
it takes like a professional conservator type person to
yeah.
deal with that, and some of it's not salvageable. Quite.
No, that's what I'm thinking. Some of it would just have to be probably replaced, the cover.
I mean, I think of some saddles and things that guys are like, "Hey, could you fix that for me?" And I'm like, "No,
You let it go too long.
jack it up and
All right.
drive a new one under it."
Diana and Mike have to go. Take care, guys. Thanks for stopping by. And happy birthday to your dad, Diana. I don't know if they're traveling or what, but anyway, they were only going to be here for a little bit. So, um, oh, Kay's saying she ended up with a great lawyer and he was free. Well, that's good. The free lawyers are pretty rare, I'm thinking. Anyway, that was I don't know. I was just thinking about. I think you probably just actually. I guess it might be a case where you just have to not worry about keeping the cover and just preserve the inside. Even though I mean, usually with antiques and things, you want it to all be there, and intact. But I don't think you could with a leather bound book. I don't know if it would.
I don't know the process they built those bindings either.
No, I don't
If
either.
there's paper that's wrapped in, if it's like cardboard wrapped in leather, what I mean, all that would come into play. I don't know.
Man, I would imagine it would. I don't.
I could see a soggy mess coming out of it, ruin the inside of the book, and I
I'm
don't.
yeah, I'm still finishing up Theodore Roosevelt's Africa book, and then he talks. If you recall reading that, he talks a lot in there about the pigskin library,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what that was about. Was they took a bunch of leather covered books with them on a trip that they on this trip, so they always had. He talked about that several times in the book, taking out, like if he was going to be on a march for 2 or 3 days, he'd pull a book out of the pigskin library to have something in his saddlebag or something to read when he wanted to stop and do such. And I wondered about that. I thought, how they protected those books while out on a safari in the
They just put them in a big old gallon Ziploc bag.
pigskin Ziploc bag.
Oh my!
Yeah, that's what I would do today. I put everything in a Ziploc bag usually. They've been Ziploc bags have saved my bacon a time or two on board a boat.
Indeed.
they're one of they're handier than pockets on a shirt.
The best thing I ever got from going to a conference was a Bass Pro Shops dry bag. And I'm telling you, that poor bag, it looks like crap now. I've had it for years. But it don't let any moisture in.
They gave us um, 1 year. We used to have annual meetings, and or well, a lot of times, not every year, but most years, and they'd usually give out some kind of a
Goody.
gift, yeah, goodie when you got there, and a couple of times it was pretty cool. I mean, we did get a couple of nice like Arctic cups or um, what's the other one, the expensive one. Um, anyway, not igloo. Anyway, and stuff like that. But 1 year they gave us a dry bag, and it was about this big long, and maybe this big around if it was stuffed. But man, I used to carry that thing in the boat with me all the time because I thought, man, this is probably the best thing you ever gave us because this is really actually usable, and we can take it with us and work out of it and keep our stuff in it, and it was handy, man. That was a nice gift.
I'm gonna knock all you dogs.
Oh, I just found a tool in here. I'm about to lose. I put that somewhere. So anyway, I thought I was going to talk about. Um, oh, John, I forgot. I still got your comment up there. Sorry. I thought I would talk about rodents of our country because there's so many of them, and there's so many things that some people don't even think about being rodents that are. Because well, Mark's gone. One of the key things about being a rodent is their teeth, and let me get to that part. I'll explain that. And I got all the usual stuff. Hit that like button, subscribe if you hadn't already, and leave a comment if you feel like it and have time. So, in North America, we have a pretty diverse group of rodents in the mammal group that live in this country, and they range from beavers, which are the largest we have, to porcupines, squirrels, which chipmunks are part of, prairie dogs, pocket gophers, deer mice, and they are both ecologically important and can be pestilence. Um, rats and mice and voles sometimes are so can be so bad they destroy entire crop fields or orchards. What there was, I thought it was voles I think that were bad about destroying apple orchards. I think
They ate my potato crop one year,
I remember that. You
and they only ate half a potato. They would eat half the potato, so then it rotted. The rest of it just, wasn't any good. And I didn't want to eat after them bowls because I didn't know where they'd been.
okay, dry bags make. She said I'm hearing. So what I'm hearing is fry bags make great gifts. I'm sure she meant dry bags. They make great gifts for fishermen and people that are outdoors because you can
I
put
bet fry bags would be a good gift too.
they fry bags might be a really cool thing to have on an outdoor if you're outdoorsy. Um, you can stuff them full and then you roll the top down the way they're made. You roll the top and buckle them, and usually the buckle part makes kind of a handle. You can grab and throw it in the boat or whatever you're doing, or just hiking or out. If you're outdoors, sooner or later you're gonna get wet. If you're in a boat, you're either gonna fall in or you're gonna get rained on, or both. And they're just really handy because. And then the other cool thing about a dry bag is if you do it right, when it goes in the water, it'll float. So not only is it keeping your stuff dry, but you might not lose it. And yeah, they're really handy. Mine's laying here somewhere. I only have one. I always wanted to get me a couple more, but I've just got the one. But I carried it all the time. It was just that handy.
Well,
Yeah,
they're cheap. They don't. I mean, you can get great ones now and they're very inexpensive.
yeah, they're not. Yeah, I can remember when they were kind of an expensive thing to add to your kit, but yeah, they're much more available now. John said
Uh-oh.
they got beaver, but lots of muskrats living in the marshes. Chipmunks are my enemy. Oh, John, he trapped 14 last summer and relocated them. Killed his tomatoes. Don't mess with my Jersey tomatoes. Well, John, you need to come down here sometime because you get the Granger County tomatoes right down the road here. Surely your brother has told you about Granger County tomatoes. Not that I'm a tomato guy. No, not that I even think they're that great, but it's a big deal in Granger County. Lots and lots of tomatoes grown in Granger County.
That's right. You don't like tomatoes, do you?
Well, they're not my favorite thing in the world, no.
I remember you calling them the devil's fruit.
I might have.
And I can tell you from experience that that belongs to the beet family.
Brenda would disagree with that. She likes beets. You said something a minute ago. The voles ate half your potatoes. Well, think about it, because back here,
They ate every tuber, half of it.
half of it. Well, think about this. Up here, around here, tarpons or terrapins, box turtles, they'll get in your garden and they'll eat half your tomatoes. I've seen them go
Those
through and just
strawberries.
make bites out of tomatoes and move on to the next one.
That one guy that works for my dad runs over everyone he sees on the road, and I just want to twist his head off when he
Is
does.
that why he does it?
Well, they eat his strawberries,
Oh yeah, they do that too.
and I'm like that critter's 50 miles from your house.
Yeah, he ain't gonna get your tomatoes.
There ain't much more helpless than a box turtle on the highway.
I hate seeing them smashed too. I have stopped and relocated more than one in my lifetime.
Hundreds.
In certain times of the year, man, I used to pick them up every day on the road. I'd be out around the lake. I'd pick up two or three and move them. I always try to put them on the other side of the road and in the direction they were going. But I've seen I think people like him just run over them deliberately because you can miss them if you're looking.
Yeah.
Of course, every once in a while you see a big old snapping turtle laying there flattened out too, and I'm quite sure that was on purpose. So anyway, back to what I was going to say. Um, so some of those critters can be valuable and important, and some of them can be a pest, as Mark says, and as John said, and
Yeah, but they all got their place.
they all got their place. That's
We've
right.
buggered it all up. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
you're the one that planted the potatoes there, not the bowl.
Exactly. That potatoes aren't native here,
No, they're not.
and they were like in nice loose soil, and we had lots of holes that year, and they ate my potatoes.
It was an invitation they just couldn't pass up.
But they were. I don't usually grow too. Our growing season's so short. I don't get like great big potatoes like Idaho over here in the low country. They grow big potatoes. My potatoes will be big as a baseball maybe. And when they eat half of that and you like potatoes,
It makes you mad. It make me mad. I love potatoes. Can you go to Idaho? Can you drive to Idaho and buy like bushel baskets of potatoes alongside the road, just like you would back here buying pumpkins or something?
yeah, what we like to do is when they come up here, when the truck drivers come up here hauling them, and then they slide off the road and wreck, and they can't deliver those potatoes, we'll take them off their hands.
That's a good lick
We've
there.
had we've had that happen like more than once. It's like,
That would
hey,
be
they got like 1,000 pounds of potatoes over here. Something needs to be done with them.
Monty could feed his family for months that way.
But
So key
yeah,
characteristics,
they grow good potatoes. That ain't no joke. It's
yeah.
that climate over there. They're 5,000 feet lower than we are. It's just perfect for potato growing.
Well, they must have, yeah, because you're talking about yours getting this big. Idaho definitely grows.
I've had potatoes from over there about as big as my head. I mean, they're just great.
That'd be a big potato. Not that your head's that big, but that'd be a big potato. I heard some. I just saw somebody getting interviewed the other day, and I don't remember what it was on, or probably online. But they were talking to this this gal, and they were talking about, and she was from Idaho, and they were asking her questions like, what did you do growing up, or and they said, they said, what do you do, or what's something about what's in Idaho, and she said, mostly just potatoes. So there must be quite a few potatoes in Idaho. Anyway, back to the rodents. The biggest thing that makes a rodent, or one of the biggest at least, is their teeth. They have, and I've got a picture coming up. They've got incisors, a pair on top and a pair on bottom. And if they don't chew, and keep them wore down, they just keep growing and growing and growing. Literally, they'll grow around and grow up into their head or into
Yeah,
their and kill them if they don't keep them chewed down. It's that's that, and they're. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't they always yellow colored, or at least they're some form of yellow,
yeah.
orange,
I mean,
blue?
some of them are orange, some of them are yellow.
I got a picture here in a
I
minute.
don't trust a rodent that doesn't have yellow teeth. That's like
I don't trust the rodents that don't have yellow teeth.
I heard a comedian yesterday. I don't even remember what it was on. It was like, I don't trust pregnant people. That I always feel like they're hiding something.
Right now, I don't trust rodents with yellow teeth. I don't trust pregnant women. I think they're hiding something. So anyway, that's important. Their habitats are quite diverse, everything from forest to wetlands to urban areas, and again, they're important to the ecosystem engineering, aka the beaver, and others. But they can also cause significant agricultural and structural damage. I'm pretty sure we got some in the roof of my house right now that are up there chewing around on in the rafters. Because every once in a while, Brenda says, "I hear them up there." I got a feeling they're squirrels. I got, and I they might be flying squirrels, but I don't know that for sure. Common North American rodents, I've already mentioned some of these, like the beaver, the North American porcupine, the squirrels and chipmunks, deer mice, muskrats, pocket gophers. And here's what their teeth look like. Here's what makes them rodents. You can see this diagram, how their teeth, these upper incisors, come all the way out to the front of their face. And this lower one is like their whole lower jaw. It's like coming around and growing and growing and growing. It's kind of like, in some ways, these two teeth, these four teeth actually, two on top, two on the bottom, kind of like shark's teeth. They're just constantly replacing, except these don't fall out and the new one comes in. But and you can see in that upper part, that upper skull, you can see those front teeth. What the coolest thing? Oh, it's not working. There it goes. Check out that. Isn't that the coolest thing you've ever seen? You know what that reminds me? Which is what this reminds me of. Going to the dentist, they always do. They got this new thing now. At least our dentist. They put you have to stand in it, and when they're X-raying your teeth, and it turns around your head, it goes around and back and right, and gets your whole all your three-dimensional. They get a drawing that looks a lot like, or a print that looks a lot like that. But if you look real close, as that thing swings by on the guitar, you can see those teeth coming around out of their head and out of their lower jaw. So anyway, that's the thing about rodents. It's really important. And this picture of the beaver, or the Canada beaver, which I never really thought about it, but it is Castor canadensis. I guess I guess when they first started exploring over here, I guess Canada was the first place they really ran into beaver, at least on the scale where they needed to identify them, take them home, make hats out of them. And you can see, I've got that red circle there. You can see the incisors on that beaver, and they look kind of red in that photograph. I don't know if I've ever seen any quite that color. Maybe you have. But I've got a feeling that's a filter or something made them show up like that.
But they're darker than most rodents. I mean, their teeth are orange.
Yeah, they are, and they're bigger. I mean, they're more visible than any other ones too, because they're just so big. So that's the biggest.
Take your hand off.
Yeah, I would not want one biting me. I mean, I've been bit by many a sassy chipmunk. I would not want, in their little incisors, I would not want a beaver putting a hole through my hand.
And it go right through easy.
These guys are the biggest rodent that we have here, at least native. I don't know if nutria get bigger than beaver or not. Do you know?
No, this is the world's second largest rodent.
That's what I thought.
The first is a capybara.
Capybara,
which is the world's largest rodent, but we don't have them. They live in South America.
South America, right. Unless people are.
They used to live here.
Well, yeah, once upon a time.
During the Pleistocene, we had capybaras here, but.
Well, these guys can get up to 110 pounds, which would be a really big beaver.
Big blanket beaver, yep.
Big blanket beaver, yeah, absolutely. That's I love that picture though. That one sitting on its tail.
Yeah, we've got a ton of them here on us, and they're I guess the biggest ones I've seen are probably 50-pounders, maybe.
Do they come up in your yard and eat on your trees?
No, we're too far. We're too far from the river. They get killed by a lion or something.
Well, That's a good point. We got up here as they've come back to Tennessee. They've been in the lake, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But I've seen them. I've seen them halfway up a ridge and be 100 feet or 200 feet, maybe even 100 yards from the lake. You'd think, what in the world would a beaver be doing way up here?
Chewing down a tree that it wants.
John said 50. Well, the size of a dog. Yeah, John, 50 and bigger. I mean,
They
they can
get
get
way bigger than that. Yeah.
the biggest beaver. I'm going to guess that's on record. The one they talk about, they say up to 110 pounds. I don't know how common that is, but 50 pounds and above is not uncommon. Um, I'm a minute off. So anyway, they can get pretty big. And this is what they do for a living right here. They chaw trees. Well, actually, they do two things for a living. They chew trees, and then they use them, which makes them one of nature's engineers, which gave them a lot of a certain amount of rank, if you will, in like in Native American lore, because they're one of the few creatures out there that can create their own environment, and they do. Once they moved back into Tennessee, you could see a lot of a lot of things change. The biggest problem that we have with them back here, usually, not always, but usually, is they'll dam up a culvert somewhere, and then the road floods, and people have to go in and do something. But did I tell you about the two guys? Two old guys walked into our office one day, and they were asking questions, and one of them said something about, what we was thinking about doing was getting us a bunch of that tannerite stuff and putting it in the beaver dams and blowing up the beaver dams.
They do that all the time.
Tannerite?
Yeah, oh yeah.
See,
You can buy that at the Walmart, dude.
I know. How much
you,
of it would it take though
you
to
can
blow up?
blow a beaver dam clear to Kingdom Come with not very much of that stuff, actually.
We talk about you and I've talked about
It
this.
works.
We've talked about going to the hardware store when we were younger and being able people buy dynamite and blow stuff and stuff.
Yeah.
What's the difference between that and buying tannerite if you can blow up a beaver dam with it?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I like living in America. Where
You do or you don't?
where you can go to the Walmart and buy a bomb.
Buy explosives. Well, I'm just saying, it just seems weird that you can't buy this, but you can buy this. I saw a video.
It's a degree of power. I mean,
Well,
TNT is way more powerful than tannerite.
well, yeah, it is.
But if you get a bag of tannerite and bury it right and shoot it, that sucker will blow a big old hole. We sent things flying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of yards, big heavy things.
I saw a video where some young guys for a wedding gift, they were throwing a bachelor party for their buddy.
Of course they were.
They went out and bought 40 pounds of tannerite.
That's a lot of tannerite.
And they put it inside a car, an old car body that was on their property. And they shot it, and it blew that car plumb up in the sky. Plumb up in the air. I mean, Jiminy. Maybe I'm just jealous because I never had any.
It's like a national pastime, or at least west of the Mississippi pastime.
I'm gonna have to try it out sometime. That's all I got to say. So anyway, there's a drawing of John James Audubon up there in the top. He didn't just draw birds, and I just really like this skeleton at the bottom. That's a really good. My daughter would like to do a skeleton like that. I'm pretty sure. I tried to call you the other day. She's got a question about tanning hides. I need some help. She's expanding her efforts. God bless her. I love her. That's my girl.
That's your girl. Well, what kind of tanning? Is she brain tanning?
No, but I'm trying to explain her. I'm trying to tell her about brain tanning. I hope.
That's the best way to go about it.
Well, that's what I told her. So I'm
It's
working
not
on
harmful. It's all natural, and
it. Yeah.
you can take the hide off a deer and have leather the next day if you're got enough gumption.
So this is what beavers do. Besides, they chew these trees down. I said that's what they do for a living. That's part of the job. And then this is the other part. They build dams and they create swamps. And from swamps
But
come
you
up.
were hovering over that lodge when you said they build dams.
Do what?
You had that lodge picture there in the middle.
Well, I do. This is a dam and this is a dam, but these are two lodges right here and here. And here's a beaver. And this I've seen them. You've seen them swimming through the water with a willow branch in their mouth, and taking it over to bury it in the lodge, or stick it in the lodge, or take it inside the lodge, or just go someplace else and eat on it. And that big old tail slaps the water. I mean, if you're not expecting it, that can shake you plumb out of your boots. If you've never heard it, because they're pretty loud. But
I got a place I like to wade fish that the beavers, every time you're there, here they come.
slap.
And they get right beside you. And, hit splash that tail, and then they dive down, pop back up. And you'd think that'd scare the fish away, but it doesn't.
Apparently not.
I keep fishing, keep catching fish, and the beavers are there making a racket.
John says, and I didn't see this because I didn't watch it. Then I need to watch some more of those, I guess. Duck Dynasty did that on one episode. I'm guessing he means they blew up a beaver dam.
Well, they were using Uncle Si's homemade napalm.
I do remember that. I think I watched that at your house.
They shot it with a crossbow bolt and a flaming arrow.
Well, they would do that.
And they don't like them. Well, I mean, they do a lot of timber damage, and they do.
Oh yeah, they can.
But they're supposed to do that. That's what they've always done.
Yeah.
Just be lucky we don't have the giant ones that were bigger than black bears.
Yeah, that's right. The size of Volkswagen Beetles. They now around here, this upper left and lower right corner, those are traditional beaver lodges like people think that's what beavers live in. If you know anything, if you've ever watched a show on TV about beavers or there's beavers in it, that's usually what they show. But down here, that's not how they live. They most of the time burrow into the bank and kind of like a groundhog in the water in a way. But you can find them. I used to find them because you'll see what
John said they love to smell napalm.
Love the smell of napalm.
Smells just like victory.
We just talked about that last week, John.
We have, of course, wherever beavers are at, it just depends on the setting, whether they build a bank den or they make a lodge. If the water's slow enough, they'll typically make a lodge.
Yes, but when you're on the lakes here that fluctuate so much, I've never seen a lodge on the lake here. I've seen some small ones in some areas off the lakes, but most of the lakes fluctuate so much here they don't. They
make bank dens, and then all the beaver on our property are in bank dens, but I like what they cache willow sticks, like all summer long. They're sticking willow sticks in the mud around the entrance to their bank dens, prepping for the following winter, because then the river ice is over and they don't come to the surface for, they've got oxygen in the lodge.
Right.
And then
good morning, Gloria.
they're diving down in the water and eating those limbs that they stored all summer long.
And they do that. They do that around
They
the
don't eat the limb; they just eat the bark. So
yeah, right. And they do that around their lodges too, so they can get same thing, get food in the winter when it don't freeze over back here. Damn rarely, if anything, and if it does, it's usually thin. But I mean, we just don't get that kind of cold weather here as a rule. But anyway, most of them are here in the banks, and you can find them usually because I'll find sticks floating down the lake, or I'll find them stuck in the bank like you're saying, and you can see them and you can figure out where they're at. But good morning, Miss Brenda. So usually we talk about squirrels, and squirrels are indeed rodents, but we're not going to talk about squirrels today. Well, not squirrels that we usually talk about. We're going to talk about the little striped devils, and mostly they're in the subtribe. Well, they are in the subtribe, and I spelled that wrong. Um, Tamiina. I don't know. I either spelled that wrong or I'm reading it wrong. And they're all chipmunks are found in North America, with the exception of one, and that's the Siberian chipmunk. And it's primarily found in Asia, mainly in the northern part of Asia, but it's expanding its range and to some degree has been moved. And there are some areas in Central Europe now where they've been introduced. I'm not sure by whom, probably Bait Bucket Charlie or whatever you'd call him if he's taking chipmunks. But I've got a feeling that's how they're expanding their range. And the name chipmunk originated in the 19th century, and other names include the chipmunk and the chipmuck and the chipping squirrel and the ground squirrel. And, there's just all kinds of things. But there's one basic, well, there have been four genera of chipmunks. The Tamias is what the easterns are. The Nototamias are the western ones. No, those are the extinct ones, excuse me. And the Neotamias are the 23 western chipmunks. So you got, just like our hummingbirds, you got all of our blame chipmunks too. We get one hummingbird, we get one chipmunk, you get all the rest of them. It's just not really fair. And there was some that are extinct that are, I don't, well, I wrote down that the Eutamius is the Siberian, but there were 3 or 4 species of chipmunks that are extinct, and since they were in Pleistocene or Miocene era, they're probably great big huge things or something. I don't know, but they're not anymore. Now this next slide I put in there because every once in a while I'll show it, but this is something I used to have to. Mark's probably read these. I used to have to read these all the time. When I did a lot of environmental reviews in my last job. So somebody was going to do a project, I'd have to look, and we had a computer database, and I could pull up any plant or animal and some other things, fish, mammals, whatever, turtles, that were within a given area. And if we would get a chart like this and some other information that would tell us if that species is either being protected or it's endangered, and we would know what to do about the project. That would affect how we rank the project or if we approved it or not. So sometimes you'll see these charts, and there's actually 2 different versions. What they call the red list at the top is the conservation status of the International Union of Conservation or something. I can't remember now. It's called the Red List of Threatened Species. It's the Red List of the International Union for Conservation of Nature, and it ranks everything from extinct to LC, which is least concern. So if a species is doing great guns and you're not worried about it, it's LC. It'll be an LC. But if there's habitat destruction, if they're down to a quarter acre of land and that's all there are left, that would end up being in the threatened area. And if they capture all that are out there, like they did in Wyoming with the black-footed ferret years ago, that would be it. They would be listed as EW, which is actually extinct in the wild, only in captivity. And then once they're all gone, and they're an EX. So sometimes this comes up with chipmunks. All but one or two of them are of least concern, so they're not a problem. And the only reason I really included this is there are a couple that I wanted to mention that are of concern. And I put that on there, and I thought, well, nobody's going to know what that means if I don't put it in there. So the eastern chipmunk is this guy, Tamias stratus, and you know he's just a he's just a little striped guy that runs around through my wife's flower beds and around our house, and he gets up on the bird feeder and looks like this guy down here in the lower right corner, or the guy over in the lower left corner or the right corner. And they're, in my case, since they're not eating my garden, um, they're fun to watch because they will take a leap on our porch. They'll get up on the porch, climb up on the handrail, and then leap out into space to land on the bird feeder. And they'll sit there on the bird feeder till they get their jaws full, like the one down the lower left. And then they'll take a flying leap off that thing, and they'll just be like Super Squirrel. And they'll just jump over to the porch and run back down and, catch all those oil sunflower seeds that are in their mouth or in their jaws, and move on. And that you can see that the range basically is all over the eastern United States and out to parts of Canada and out to the Dakotas, I believe, as far as they go west. And they do cross the Mississippi, but not too far. And as far as I know, they're not. I don't think they're expanding into the west. I think that's pretty much normal. Let me see if it mentions that anywhere.
So if you plot that,
Do what?
If you plot that green polygon there, that's the eastern deciduous forest. That's where they live.
Yeah, but true. Yeah, very true.
And then they hit the Great American Desert, and they don't go anywhere from there. They're not expanding as far as I know. We got plenty. We have 23.
You don't need ours too. And apparently yours don't like deciduous forest because they're not coming back this way either.
No, they like it dry.
So most of the chipmunks I said I was going to talk about rodents this week, and then I realized, man, there's lots of chipmunks. So let's talk about chipmunks. I mean, there's 24 of them in the North America that are still extant, still exist around the country, and most of them are in the West. So that's the Neotamius genera of the species, and there's a whole bunch of them, like the alpine chipmunk, alpinus, bulleri, the buller's chipmunk. And that one is one of the ones that, if you see, I put the chart in that one down in the lower corner, right corner. And this way I did this, there's the alpine chipmunk is the left top, the yellow pine chipmunk is the left bottom, and then the bullers is on the right. And the bullers is vulnerable, and it's a habitat loss is generally what does it. And I've got there wasn't a lot of information about that. It's in Mexico, and it's just in a very isolated area. I don't know, maybe it's never been any bigger than that, because some of them out west are like that. You got 23, but some of them just live on one mountain range.
Right.
And sometimes the habitat's better than others. Now, I've got some in here that live in the Las Vegas area of Nevada, and they're not doing so good because they're losing habitat.
Reckon why?
Yeah, reckon why that is. Because gambling pays, and anyway, I was gonna see if I had any other interesting. The alpine chip, like the alpines now, that upper left group, the alpines, they're only found in the high Sierra Nevadas, in Yosemite National Park in the north, to I'll say this wrong, Alancha Peak in the south. I'm not sure exactly where that is other than on that map. And they live in the 7,500 feet to 12,800 feet elevation. So kind of like picas in a way. They only live up high. So tell me something: are marmots? Are marmots rodents or not? I didn't look that up. I forgot
Yeah,
about it.
they're groundhogs,
Yeah,
dude.
well, that's what I thought too. I just hadn't.
They're Marmota, the genus Marmota.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And the eastern woodchuck, I hate using that term because I grew up calling them groundhogs. Uh,
Yeah, me too. I don't.
that's the eastern version of a marmot.
Well, that's
And
what I
then, and
thought.
then we have three marmots out west because we have to have more than you guys have.
Always, unless they need moisture, then you're screwed.
Exactly.
So then we move on to, and then another one. You can see this little map here, and this is the Southwest, and it's in part of New Mexico and part of Texas. I think they drop down maybe to the up. That might be part of the Guadalupes. I'm not sure if they get down that far or not. I think I probably have it here. Let me see. Yeah, they get down from Sierra Diablo in New Mexico, or from New Mexico and the Sierra Diablo and Guadalupe's in the Trans-Pecos region of Texas. And I put as you can see, the most famous chipmunks I could think of. I just found a couple of clips of them, so I put them in here to help out, and just put them in there for the heck of it. But you look at these chipmunks, and you can see some of them you have to look really close to see the differences, and some of them are a little bit more obvious. Like that gray-footed chipmunk. Look at his face and his ears. I mean, right away I can tell you that's not an eastern chipmunk because it just don't look like one. And while they're gray-footed, there's other things about them that are gray. And when you're naming animals and you're a scientist and you're in the 1700s or the 1800s and you start naming stuff like chipmunks, every time you find a new one, you got to figure out a different name for it. And the guy behind you says, "Hey, you've already named that one Grayfoot. What are you going to call this one?" So you call it the gray back, or you call it the gray face or something. But you have to look for those little differences. And I'm trying to find the best pictures I could because some of them are not as clear. But it also shows a reason why I know, for example, have always preferred, like Peterson books, because a lot of times hand drawn pictures, more with birds probably than mammals and animals, can show the subtle differences a little bit better than a camera lens can. Sometimes cameras don't show the color exactly right, or they can be altered by the camera or the lens or the filter. I don't know if that may be better now with digital photography than it used to be, but you taught me that, or I think you did, that one of the reasons Peterson guides were kind of special was because they're hand colored, or they were originally at least, so that they get all the little nuances and the little color changes in there that make them different.
Kay wants to know why I avoid calling groundhogs woodchucks. And in my twisted Appalachian brain, groundhogs that's what country folks called that.
And they don't. And the
Or
thing
a
is,
whistle pig. If you lived in town, you might call them a woodchuck.
yeah, but the thing is, they don't chuck wood. They don't do anything with wood. They're not like beavers.
They
They don't.
live on the edge of the woods.
Well, yeah, they do that. Maybe that's why they're a woodchuck. But I'm again,
Usually they were in the hay meadow digging a big old hole.
yeah. I mean, they don't. They're just different. I never knew they even were woodchucks until I was probably in high school. I mean, I just thought they're just groundhogs. And then I read a book one time.
We don't have a National Woodchuck Day. It's Groundhog Day.
Good point there. How about that, Kay? We don't have Woodchuck Day on
My
February.
grandpa called them whistle pigs because they sit up at their, if they get alarmed, they'll sit up at their burrow and they
Whistle.
whistle at you. They
And the
don't
first,
whistle. They don't whistle like Moonlight, the Moonlight Sonata or anything.
no, it's just a kind of a blast like a horn in a way. First time I ever heard them called a whistle pig, I didn't know what they were talking about. Again, I just grew up. They were groundhogs. That's what they are.
They lay on the ground. They look kind of vaguely hog shaped.
Vaguely. And I grew up around some uncles that had them when they were younger, had them for pets. My mom talked about that. They'd catch one, they'd catch
We had them every summer.
you know. Anyway.
I was on Bucklet Creek and looked back in a rock hole, like in those cliffs along Bucklet Creek, and there was a little groundhog sitting in there, and I just reached in there and grabbed him. And we had him all summer long. He was a great cat.
She said, we have one. I call it Woodchuck. I just wanted to make sure I was calling it by its right name. Oh, you're calling it by its right name, or one of its right
It's
names.
just one of its common names. If
Yeah.
you want to be technical, you'd call it Marmota monax.
Yeah, because that's the one name. It's always that name. That's the thing you learn when you go to school to be a biologist scientist. Is there's a scientific name that everybody calls it, and then there's 14 common names depending on where you live, and that's kind of the way it is with groundhogs. There's Tina McNeil. I'm just now finding out.
Look, so our job here today is done.
Yep. Okay. We have actually. I got to go make sure I click that box that says educational. Yeah, they are the same animal, Tina. And like I said, I get where you grow up.
I know guys that look like rats.
And I know some guys that look like
I had a high school principal that looked like a rat.
I've just always got now messed up. I gotta get back from okay. So I didn't say it. We had a gray-footed chipmunk on one side of this page, and we got a gray-collared chipmunk over here. Again, you just have to look at the little details. That one you can see it's got kind of a gray collar around its neck.
And I would have named him after where he lives, which is the Mogollon Rim.
Could have done that too.
The Mogollon chipmunk.
Could have been that. And he's not.
It might be Neotamius. Oh no, it's not.
No, it's
not Mogollonensis.
Yeah.
Darn. I know some people that act like rats.
A lot of people that act like rats. We got a cleft chipmunk. Again, you can see the range. It's mostly in the Sierra Nevada's part of the Rockies, I guess. They like. I put the picture in here because they like that sort of. I think that's
it's a juniper tree. They live. They're like a billion of them here.
Yeah. And then over here we got a Durango chipmunk, and they're down in Mexico. So there's 2 or 3 species that are just in Mexico, and again I've got 3 different pictures, and they all look just a little bit alike, are different. But if you look close enough, there are certain characteristics like the facial stripes that are pretty much all the same. There's just different ways that they're identified and how they got named. In this case, they're Durango because of where they're at. We got Merriam's chipmunk, Neotamius merriami, and it's in California, and it's scattered along the coastal area, which I thought was kind of different.
I love hearing you pronounce scientific names.
Well, I can't help myself.
That's Merriami.
Mariamai. What did I say? Mariami?
Miami.
Mariamai. Excuse me. The one I got, I think I can get this next one. The Tamias minimus is the guy on the least chipmunk over here on the right. I
And
like
it's least because it's tiny.
it's least because it's tiny.
We got a lot of them too.
Yeah, they're all over your part of the country and all the way up into Canada. I think, let me get my facts here. The least chipmunk is the smallest of the chipmunks, and it's considered the most widespread of the chipmunks because it covers more country in Canada, and what it covers in the 48 down here in the United States makes up for more than the eastern United States does. So you guys even got the largest territory, so you just got everything out there. You'd think you guys are just hogging them all. Let's see if I wrote down anything special about this guy in particular. Yeah, the other thing I'm not talking about is the number of toes that they have. Like this one has 4 toes on each of the 4 feet and 5 toes on the back feet. The females, generally speaking, have 8 teats, and I'll get wrote. Can I get wrote up to that? But least chipmunks go all the way from up in the Yukon and all the way down into California, parts of California. Looks like they get all the way down to the upper part of New Mexico. If I was guessing by looking at that map, that's a pretty good. That's a pretty good span of territory there. We got a California chipmunk over here near Tamias obscurus, and look, they're kind of they're striped. All of them are striped, but they're dulled out and they match the background a whole lot better than the others do. And I didn't put his chart in here. Let me see if he's. I was surprised. Maybe this one wasn't. I was surprised this one wasn't more endangered. He's also called the California chipmunk. I've got that up there though. But he lives again in San Bernardino, Eagle, San Jacinto, and Santa Rosa Mountains of Southern California. That's it. And he gets down close to the border. Again, altitude is relative. They live above 2,500 feet minimum, up to about 8,500. And then there's probably something above that takes over and goes from there. The guy on the right is the yellow cheeked chipmunk. I'm not even going to try to say that. Ocarangius, as in yellow color. I know what the uncle's part stands for. Anyway, but they're just right along the coastal area there in California. So, lots of chipmunks out there, but a lot of them are just in little bitty pockets around the country, western part of the country. So here we got another one. We got Palmer's chipmunks, and this is the one in particular that's endangered because of the expansion of Las Vegas. The habitat that this chipmunk was just in that part of Nevada, and it's about to it's endangered. I don't know if they have I don't think it gave me an estimate on numbers. So right now they're like they can only find them out there in the very tops of the mountain peaks, and that's basically because nobody's there, and they haven't developed that particular part of the mountains. So it's only in the spring mountains of Clark County, southern Nevada. When you get a critter that's that isolated, probably to begin with, and then you start building casinos and hotels and paving everything that you can see, then
It's in trouble.
It's in trouble. And they're at 7 to 10,000 feet elevation. Again, they're up there where they're not building anything, and that is the only place they got left.
They'll put a ski resort or something there.
Do what?
They'll come up with some game they can play up there, and they'll fix that. Hang gliding.
Oh yeah, I got you now. Yeah, that's what they'll put something up there, and then they'll be gone. They won't have to worry about them anymore. Some people look at it that way.
That's the way a lot of people look at it. You mean we can't build there because of a bird?
Yeah,
That's exactly what we mean.
there was a lot of controversy going on when I was in school about beach mice. There and down in the Gulfport area or Gulf Shores area of Alabama, there was a mouse that lived. That was the only place in the world it existed. I mean, it had existed along the coast, and it had as they built more and more hotels all along the coast because that's the most expensive real estate in the world. It kept their habitat kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller till it was down to just a few dunes and some areas in Alabama, and people were fighting it because they got down to where they just were trying to get people to build elevated walkways instead of putting everything and plowing up and putting sidewalks and stuff in, and they were trying to do that. I don't know if those mice may be gone. I mean, I suspect that in the end they lost because development wins out.
It's like the fight over burrowing owls in Florida.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem with that's been the problem in Florida with the indigo snake and the
Eastern Diamondbacks.
gopher
Why
gopher
would we
tortoise.
want Eastern Diamondbacks? They're poisonous.
Yeah, they're poisonous. So nobody wants them. So then we get to the next guy here, and it's the common name is the Panamint chipmunk, Panamentinus, and he's another one. This was the only habitat map, range map that I could find, and basically it's because he lives in these valleys and these mountain areas along through here in this part of the desert. But he's not listed
In
as
Iowa?
huh?
In Iowa?
No, not in Iowa. No,
That's where
no.
your cursor is. Oh, he lives there in the mountains of Iowa.
Well, I didn't. He lives here in the mountains of Arizona, California, and Nevada. I don't know why I said if I said Iowa. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't say Iowa. That's where your cursor's floating. You're circling it around, and you're circling Iowa.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, anyway, it's right in here in these
Yeah,
mountain
in
ranges.
Iowa.
Not in Iowa.
I don't know. I don't understand how your cursor works. You're not over the range.
I'm
You're
not.
you're not even over the range map, dude.
That is
You're
so
over the
weird.
map of the United States of America.
Okay, on one side, I'm over. I know why. Okay, I'll have to fix that. Sorry, guys. I didn't realize it was off like that. That's because the image. Oh well. I can't even put it in. Yeah, right in here. Does that look
Yeah,
right now?
that makes way more sense.
I'm gonna have to start looking at the other map. I wonder why that does that. Anyway,
Why don't he write?
why don't he write? I reckon why he don't write. But this guy, even though he's got limited, he's not currently in trouble. They can still have him listed as least concerned.
So Kay's been watching the snake hunters in Florida. Doesn't that sound like a good time, Kay?
Yeah, wouldn't you like to go down there and jump in? Well, hey,
Wrestle,
Rhonda, welcome in.
wrestle up one of them big old snakes.
Has anybody figured out a way to cook those things yet? If they could
There's a
figure out a way
guy
to,
down there that kills them and has a restaurant.
oh, that's good. Because once you
Yeah,
start
I
feeding
mean
them,
they're eating them.
that's excellent. Because once you start feeding them to people, they'll help cut their numbers down. Hang on just a minute. I can't breathe. Let me get my nose cleared up a little bit. Pardon me, be right back.
And there he went.
I'm coming back.
There he is.
I dropped the lid on my. Oh, there it is. Okay. So let me see if I can put my cursor in the right place here.
For the Panamint
I
chipmunk.
can't even. I can't even put it on there for that
You
for
don't even
those
see it
mountains.
now. There it
There
is.
it is.
Yellow.
This photograph here shows these valleys and these ridges. This is the only area where this guy lives. So I'm surprised they're not more threatened, but they're in an area that's not being developed or anything, so they're okay for now. We got the long-eared chipmunk. Reckon why they call him that. I thought that was a really good picture of him down there. This guy right here. Look at those ears on that boy. Look at them ears on that fella. I wonder if they called him jug-eared in chipmunk world. Quadrimaculatus. And we got a Colorado chipmunk, which is in Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, and Arizona, kind of in the Four Corners area, but mostly in New Mexico and Colorado, looks like. And where he lives in that lower photograph over here reminds me of Paca country, but he don't live that high. And let's see if there's anything really cool about those guys. The long-eared. You know, you can here's the kind of you get into detail about their bright red, brown color, 5 dark stripes, 4 pale stripes on their backs. That's the kind of stuff you have to look for when you start breaking down the species. And I didn't include any of this, but there's 2 or 3 of these areas where they're starting to break them down into 4 or 5 little subspecies. So it
Cool.
gets even more complicated.
Lumpers and splitters.
Lumpers and splitters. For example, this Colorado chipmunk has 1, 2. There are now 3 separate subspecies of it that are recognized. The one in the Oregon mountains, speaking of New Mexico, Oscura Mountains in New Mexico, and in Colorado is the northern Colorado, northern New Mexico, northern Arizona, eastern Utah, all that area, and they call that one the quadribatatus. So he's 4 or something. He's all of them, I guess. Let's see. It's cool that he's in the Oregon mountains. I think that's neat. The Oregon mountains are just between where Mark used to live in Las
They don't
Cruces.
even have it on there.
Do what?
They don't even have it plotted.
Well, that's true. It's not on there. Are there more? Is there more than one set of Oregon mountains? I wasn't aware of it. If they are,
No, the Oregons are right there east of Las Cruces, down
yeah,
by the Texas border, just
that's
north
the
of
only.
El Paso.
Yeah, that's the only Oregon mountains I'm aware of out there.
But it's Oregon.
Oregon, I know it's Oregon, not Oregon. I know. That just comes out wrong. It sounds like
It comes
Oregon. I
out
mean Oregon,
Oregon.
but it's Oregon. Brenda, what is she, an aunt or a cousin who lives just about the same place you did in the eastern part of town there before you moved out of that part of the country, but over near the mountains. She's all the time posting pictures of the Oregons. When the sun hits them just right, they are beauties.
And rough as a cob.
And rough as a cob.
Straight up and down.
We got a red-tailed chipmunk on the left side here, and I just love that picture. Him heading, according to the guy that took that picture, he was ducking in and out of that pole and hanging out inside that hollow pipe for a fence post. And as you can see, he's kind of isolated. That's parts of Montana and Idaho and up in a little bit into Canada. We got the Hopi chipmunk. who lives down in the Four Corners part of the world too, a little bit, not quite all Four Corners, but close. He just gets into New Mexico there in Arizona, but he's mostly in Colorado and Utah. I like that one. I like the color on that. That's a neat looking chipmunk. Of course, that red tail is too. I really like that one where he's standing up there. That's a really good picture. Let's see here if there's anything really cool about them. British Columbia, Southwest Alberta, and he's a 2,300 to 7,800 foot critter too. I'm happy that the Hopies or the Hopi chipmunks are at least concerned. That they're again they live in a place where everybody's not trying to build and yet anyway put golf courses in. Nothing extra special about them other than that. We got Allen's chipmunks again, California and Washington or Oregon. Excuse me, Oregon in this case. And they're kind of plain looking in a way. I like this Siskiyou chipmunk. First thing I thought there was he was going to be up in, I don't know why, but I was thinking of Sitka, which he's not in his name. But when I first the image popped up in my mind as Sitka, and I thought, well, this guy's going to be up in the corner of Alaska, down through there, but he's really not. Northern California, southwestern Oregon. But the ears are smaller, they're more rounded, they're not sharp and pointy like some of the others, like that long-eared chipmunk. The ears were real long and more of a sharper point. And let's see if there's something else about this guy. They're considered coastal, which makes sense. Anyway, and we get into the Sonoma Sonoma Valley part of California. I'm surprised they're not in more trouble, to be honest. That's getting far enough north. I guess it's not really too bad. That's bad at least. In that part of California, development's not quite as crazy. And then you got a lodgepole chipmunk, which I thought was really cool, except it's not where I would consider lodgepole country. I mean, they probably have them, but it's all down that spine of California, in the eastern part of California, anyway. And as far as I know, let me see if it has anything, if I even mention lodgepole. Well, I put a lot of information in on that one. They live at 4,900 to 9,800 feet. They're also called the Tahoe chipmunk, the Sequoia chipmunk, the Mount Pinos chipmunk, and the San Bernardino chipmunk, and yet they call them lodgepole. Go figure. Again, somebody was running out of names. Hang on just a minute. Here might be something unique. It says 1978, a removal experiment based on observations was conducted by Mark A. Chappelle, which took 4 different species of chipmunk into account. This experiment was to detail the process of removal by the different species. In the experiment, it was noted that 4 different species were allopatric, meaning they formed non-overlapping borders. They wall themselves off within the habitat or within that given area. And then we got a Townsend's chipmunk over here along the coast, Washington, Oregon. Strictly a coastal chipmunk, and I've got a picture of its skull, but there's probably something unique about it. Maybe the eyes are bigger. You can see the incisors right here. Now that part of the camera, I'm pretty close, or that part of the screen. And we got and I never say this right. Uinta, I did say it right. Uinta chipmunk, which is in. I would consider this middle part more the Uinta Mountains, isn't it, Mark? Or they consider these Uintas also.
Where are you pointing?
Okay, let me get over here. See this? I would think
There's
this is
the
more.
no, that's not no. The Uintas run east and west.
Oh, okay. Well,
Longest mountain range in North America that runs east and west outside the Brooks Range.
oh, cool. I didn't know that.
It's right there on the border of Wyoming and Utah on the east-west border.
So you probably can't see it too well. I don't know how
Right
big,
there,
but that's
right
right
where
in
your
here.
cursor's at.
But so none of this over here is considered Uintas.
And that's a very ultra conservative range map. They're everywhere out here.
Are they?
Yeah, I mean they're all over that, all of southwest Wyoming and half the rest of the country.
Says they're pretty good. Am I looking at that right? No, that's Townsend's. Apparently, at some point they changed its name. It's medium sized. It says 7 to 9 inches.
Yeah, they're a pretty big chipmunk.
4,500 to 12,000 feet in elevation. Well, that puts him right in your part of the country.
He's
Do you have them there?
Where's he live?
4,500 to 12,000 feet elevation. I said, and I just said that puts him in your level. But I don't know. Do you have them around your place?
We had him right here in the yard.
Okay.
We don't now. I don't know why. We had some kind of epizooty go through, and
Well, that happens.
they just disappeared.
Well, they're also starting to lumping. What'd you call them? Lumpers and what?
Splitters.
Splitters. They're starting to lump and split them too. Looks like. Southwest or southeastern Utah, northern Utah, southern Nevada, western Nevada, blah 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 blah. Just make things confusing.
Yeah, we'll end up with 40 species, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah. You and I will never be able to tell them apart, but
you'd have to put them in a blender.
Yep. And look under a really good microscope. So that's all the ones. That's the 23 species basically that's in the west. Well, and 24 counting the eastern. And this guy don't live here, but I thought I'd put him in here anyway because he's the only chipmunk that doesn't exist outside of North America. And I don't know why I don't have Tina's comment down. Sorry, Tina. That sounds like a potato with 4 legs. What? I missed something. Anyway, this is the only chipmunk that doesn't live in North America. And I put him in here and
he don't look right.
He don't look right.
Look at his head. He doesn't look.
Well, it's different looking. I mean, it is different. I mean, the ears are different. They're set on a different part of their head, looks like, or further back or something.
Darker stripes.
And you can't hardly see it. Let me see if I can put my cursor on it. Right here is a little red spot, and that's where they've been introduced into that part of Europe. So I was thinking it was more in Central Europe. It's actually over closer to the coast. Maybe northwestern Germany or Belgium and France, maybe.
Belgium and France.
But this maroon or darker area all up through here is where this is their normal range. They've also, and again, if you can see it, there's red right here in Japan. I started to say Hawaii, Japan, and that's where they're really popular as pets. Japan is really funny about that. You see videos of it all the time. They have they have pets there that are otters. Otters are, I don't know if they're common as pets there, but they're certainly popular as pets there. These chipmunks are there as pets. Um, and there's other species, other critters that they have as pets in Japan. That's just a really strange thing, I think.
So
And the
it's
other
if you look at the range map on them, that eastern part of Siberia,
hmm
I mean, it's easy to see why there used to be land to the east of that
right.
that
Then
connected North
yes.
America. There's a lot of critters that did that.
So what you're basically saying is they at one time they were probably connected to these chipmunks and they
At least
got
the ones in
separated.
Alaska.
Yeah, yeah, good point. And the other thing I thought was interesting about these guys is people raise them over there, like in Japan, and they skin them, or other parts of Asia, and they actually sell the furs or the pelts, if you will. And they're not very big. I mean, these guys are only, well, they're 7 to 9 inches
Oh,
long, about that long. That's counting the tail, though.
yeah.
But look at their stripes are kind of, I thought, but then again, I'm not used to seeing them laid out flat like that. Um, Also, an interesting thing,
And
the strap.
Kay says that some people think that keeping cats and dogs is strange.
Well, that's probably true, Kay.
I think keeping cats is strange, but dogs is totally normal.
Some of us like cats too. Except I had that great big yellow one out here in my yard this morning. I can't make up my mind what I want. I knew he didn't belong to anybody. He might be a goner. But
He might be saving your bacon from members of the family Rodentia.
well, now that's a good point because in the last week, 2 weeks, I have captured and eliminated somewhere in the neighborhood of
You
12 to 20.
you said you had a
I've
mouse
had them.
issue,
Yes.
and that he left you a present. Last show, you talked about him leaving you.
Yeah, I think he did. In
So
fact, so maybe he and I are gonna get along, but at least for now. But I
embrace the
don't want him.
suck, man. they're
I
here.
just yeah,
They're here to
embrace the
stay.
suck. I'd rather have the chipmunks though. I'm afraid he might have been eating my chipmunks too. In our case, they're not bothering me, so I'd rather have the chipmunks. But the other kind of a unique thing I found out here about these Siberians and the fact that they're kept as pets. And I got to, in their relation, what? Cats are awesome. I like the fact that I don't have to let the cats out. I do too, Kay. That's one of the reasons we don't have a dog
I
right
can't
now.
stand the smell. So
well, well, we've kind of fixed that. We finally do have a litter that's pretty good about that. And I'd like to have a dog. I'd like to have both. To be honest, I'd have one of everything if I could
so
have
we
feet.
have we
Take care
have
of it.
we have that black Tom that lives in the house, and he our dogs, which are all bigger dogs, get along with him just fine. And then we get the grand dogs over, and it's like
Uh
pandalarium.
oh.
They're just always hunting him.
So here's the thing, Mark. You'll appreciate this, I think. They talk about these Siberians and the relationship to humans. And it says some people keep Siberian chipmunks as pets, or they sell them for their fur or other body parts. I'm not sure what other body parts that'd be. Siberian chipmunks, of
I'm
course, can
sure
eat
they got
crops and damage
some.
gardens, which is the same here. They can do all that. The species can carry Lyme disease caused by the bacteria Borrelia burgdorfia. I don't know. I can't pronounce that one. They can be transmitted through ticks in a study in a park near, and this is in Paris where they moved on that side of the world, where the Siberian chipmunk had established itself in comparison to other critters that live in that area. The Siberian chipmunks have a much higher infection load
of Lyme.
of that bacteria that can carry Lyme disease. So
Cool.
Lyme disease is not just for Americans anymore. So
Well,
the
and it
fact that
probably never was.
no, it probably yeah, I know it probably never was, but
Heck, it probably started over there.
it might have.
Way more human beings involved.
And Lyme, and that Lyme, Connecticut, and that what it's named after.
I don't
It,
know.
there's a town in I
It's
think it's
it's an
Connecticut.
unfortunate illness.
Yes, it is.
My
How in the hell have we avoided getting that all of our life?
well, I don't know. I don't know that we still would. I have several relatives that have either chronic or acute or have had acute because it comes in two different flavors. And
Right.
the acute, like it, if you live through it, you're then you're good to go. And maybe we had it. I don't know. How I didn't get it in Kentucky is,
A good question because
and
you've lived in.
maybe I had it. I don't know.
Well,
When they would do blood profiles on us
oh, did they?
in the wildlife business and see what you had been exposed to, and I certainly I had titers for it, but
No effects.
none that
Or
I know
not
of.
effects or whatever.
Might
When
have
was that? Was that
no, we
what?
used to just call everything the flu or the sniffles or
Well, true.
whatever, and you just like went
Well,
on about your business. And
arthritis or what was the other thing people called it back here? Rheumatism.
but
Um,
I have a good friend that his wife, she got Lyme and up on the St. Gleska Lakota reservation in South Dakota, and she taught school up there, and she suffered with it for a year. It's very debilitating to her.
well, I know other people that it was also.
Just, I mean, it's just crippling,
Yeah.
and
Well,
it comes and goes like malaria. It's not a good thing to have.
now Kay's wanting to sick the foxes they have. She's had foxes in her back door. She says she's hoping they'll go after the gray squirrels. Okay. Well, the thing about limes though is, oh, I lost my thought. What was I going? Oh, to me, it's sort of like, lupus is sort of like that too, isn't it? I think. But
Lupus is autoimmune.
well, yeah, but the symptoms are similar, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they're not. I thought they were. Anyway, as I guess we'll figure out over time, Lyme's disease wasn't just for here, but how some of us don't have it, or maybe we do, and maybe it doesn't. So I had a question: where were you being tested when you were out west in Kentucky or in
Arizona.
Wyoming? Oh, Arizona. Okay, okay. The
Yeah,
only thing I ever had titers
they
checked for
really
was
took
rabies.
care of us for if you handled wildlife. They had and then Wyoming was pretty big on like we had to carry a card in our wallet. Like if you got checked into the hospital, you were to hand that card to the doc. I may have
Uh,
been exposed to the following wildlife illnesses, and it was just this long list of names you couldn't pronounce, and check me for everything, basically.
I wonder if the zoologists and people I used to work with don't have to do something similar to that. The only thing I had to do at the time, this was in 1999 or 98. 97, somewhere in there. I was handling bats and
Yeah.
mammals, or possibly,
So you had
and
to do a rabies shot.
I had to do the rabies thing and the vaccination or vaccine, and we would get checked for titer every 2 to 3 years. I think is how they
Yeah,
were doing
that was
that.
what Arizona's protocol was. It was based on rabies, and then they'd run a whole panel of other kind of more common wildlife related diseases and check you for had you been exposed to this, that, or the other. Chagas, I got exposed to that.
I don't.
Cone nose bugs give you that. If you sleep on the ground in the desert in Arizona, you're going to get bitten by cone nose bugs.
And what is Chagas? Is that what you
Just a
called it?
nasty little wildlife disease that you can pick
I
up.
don't. I don't know that one. Interesting. So that's the things you can look forward to in a career in wildlife, among other things. Not only can you get bit by critters and get stuff, you can also just get exposed to things. Um, well, I mean, when you were in Kentucky, I mean, that area where you were at up there had to be one of the most tick infested places on the earth. I mean,
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I never been to a place where you could sit down on a log or on the ground and see ticks crawling around in the grass. I
Hunting
mean,
you.
it's crazy. Hunting you, yeah. Which is one of the reasons why they developed permanone out there. But
People were like, they were doing that when I was there. They were in the testing phase. We used to
right,
take baths and that stuff. And then they're like, oh, it's carcinogenic.
yeah, yeah, right.
I
I
mean,
knew a lot of people that didn't use it right. I mean, people don't read the labels on things; they just
well,
spray.
at that time there was no label. It came in a
Well, that's
green and yellow spray can, looked like a paint can,
yeah.
and it didn't
I've
have
seen them.
any warning, nothing on it. And now, they're like you spray it on your clothes and you let them dry, and then you can go out in the woods.
Yeah,
And we were just like painting it on ourselves, and we'll be the Agent Orange of the wildlife world, I guess. But
we were still getting it in the yellow and green cans when I was at TVA,
yeah,
but it had labels. It had warning labels on it then, and but still, people don't read. They don't read them, and they just, they'd go out in the field one day and they'd hose themselves down with it. I'm standing there like, you guys never read the labels seriously. I mean, you don't ever, and anyway, the because yeah, if you use it correctly, you hose your clothes down and let them dry overnight, hang out in the garage or something, and then you put them on, and you're much better protected, and you're not as likely to catch something or get sick over it. But anyway, so that's all the thing. But it's a wonder we didn't catch more things than we did. You especially, I mean, you handle more than I did, but when I was handling stuff, then we did get some, like I said, rabies. But I don't know if they may carry a card too now. The ones that do more of that do more trapping and marking and surveying of critters. I want to say that some people were being checked for limes, if there is a check. I think there is before I left TVA, but I'm not 100% sure of that. So that's all I had for today.
and Kay, you said your dad used to soak his kerosene and tie it around their legs, and
I've heard of that.
we used to when they were developing permanone, we would duct tape our pants legs to our boots, and then you would take one layer of that tape and put it sticky side out to catch the larval ticks, the seed ticks they call them, because you
Oh yeah,
can't even hardly see them,
kind of like fly paper.
and they're
I
and they're
just
just like fly paper, and they live low to the ground, and you'll hit the whole pod of them. There'll be 1,000 ticks on you at one
Oh
time.
God, they're
People,
terrible.
people are like, "Have you ever had a tick?" And I'm like, "You got no idea what you don't even know ticks."
You and I were either hunting or fishing or just canoeing. I don't remember if it was the Stones River. I don't remember where we were at. And we were on a little like an island. I don't know if you remember this. And we were out in the woods. We were just, I think, scouting. Might have been squirrel hunting. I don't know. And we did something and we got into a hole. We did that. We bumped one of those kind of
It
things
was
over and they were
Arkansas.
all over us.
It was on Piney Creek in Arkansas.
Okay, it was in Arkansas.
And we
Okay.
were in the cane breaks along Piney Creek
Yeah.
fishing, and we wandered too far, as was typical. And it got dark on us, and we had to walk out of there in the cane breaks where all the rattlesnakes lived. And turned out that the seed ticks were like
horrible,
insane.
I mean, if you've ever had ticks on you, you know what a tick looks like. But seed ticks are almost microscopic. They're teeny little specks, and they're not just one or two of them on a leaf somewhere that you rub up against. You, like he said, you hit them, and there's thousands of them, literally, or hundreds of them at least.
And they get like all over, and you can look down at like the toe of your boot and see a spot, and all of a sudden, the spot like disappears because they leave their like little resting clump, their little pod, little evil little pod, and then they're all over you. And they're about the size of a chigger, only worse.
You know what a chigger is?
Because chiggers like bite you and eventually leave, and seed ticks will stay on you.
Yeah. I don't know, you know.
And they migrate to certain portions of your body that you'd just soon not talk about.
Yeah, they itch. Oh my God, do they itch? Fleas are horrible. If you walked in the yard, you could get covered. And we had used lint rollers and duct tape to remove them before coming in the house. I've seen that happen too. And usually if you've got animals around, but I think that can happen even otherwise. And I don't know.
And John, you're right in the heartland of like seed tick country, that New Jersey country.
Oh yeah, is that worse up there than it is in other places, or it's bad at least?
It's the same, species of tick that we had in Kentucky.
They're pretty much everywhere. I mean, let's face it.
Well, they are now. They didn't used to be when I was a kid. Like the only ticks I ever got on me were wood.
Well, that's true.
And then all of a sudden we had black-legged deer ticks and Lone Star ticks and all kind of other kind of ticks.
Did we not have them, or we just didn't know there was a difference?
I don't think we had them. I think they, with the population of whitetails expanded.
Well, that's a good point.
That deer ticks expanded as well, as would be expected. So
I wonder if the fact that they moved so many deer around different parts of the country, I wonder if ticks are one of those kind of things that just sort of came along for the ride and eventually got spread all over the place. Because
I was worried that I brought black-legged ticks to Ohio, southern Ohio, because they're eat up with them.
And you don't remember them when you were younger.
We didn't have. There weren't any. When we'd go visit the grandparents, I was always getting in the woods and getting ticks, but not them. And now you can't even hardly walk in the yard without getting
them all over you.
We didn't have that. I mean, that just didn't exist. But
Jay, that's what I always when I was growing up, that's what they always told me too. And it's, as far as I know, it's true. I don't know where else they are, but I was always told that Queen Anne's always would have chiggers I never have looked into that critter and where they live and all that kind of stuff. Maybe someday I should talk about that.
I
But
like Queen Anne's lace too. They're good. They taste like carrots.
don't some people call them wild carrots? Where have I
Yep,
read that? I
yep.
think so.
We
Yeah,
used we used to dig them and eat them all the time.
I didn't know that till a few years ago. I didn't even know there was such a thing. I just knew they were Queen Anne's
I had a
lace.
great grandma that believed in eating from the woods, so
Ah, so you knew it from a young age then. See, I didn't know that one. And my mom may have known all that stuff, but my mom was one of these people that she grew up living that way, and she just by God didn't want to. She wasn't going to do it anymore,
right.
and so she didn't like real butter because she had to churn it all her life. She didn't like. I mean, for all I know, she might have ate stuff out of the woods like that too, and just didn't like it anymore. She wasn't too big on wild game either. I mean, I brought stuff
Yeah.
home, wouldn't eat it. She'd
Granny
fix
would
it.
have me, she'd like go down to the creek and pull me a bunch of creasy greens, and while you're at it, catch us some crawfish. And was
Anyway,
fortunate,
well, that's true. That's
I
true.
think.
I wish I'd, yeah, I do too. I wish all my people talked about some of that stuff, but none of them ever took
They
you out and
got to
showed
where
you
they
where it
didn't.
was
They go to the store and they didn't have to do that anymore.
at. Well, that's how a lot of it worked, yeah. Or didn't that once they got money where they could afford it. Kay said she definitely embraced the modern world. Yes, my mother definitely embraced the modern world. The only thing the only thing my mother didn't
Sugar
embrace, do what?
Okay, they
Oh,
called
sugar
sugar
flowers.
flowers. They had Queen Anne's lace at her niece's wedding.
I told her they should pay for sugar flowers.
On purpose.
The only thing my mother didn't embrace as far as being more modern was oleo margarine. She still called margarine oleo and, and wrote it in recipe books. And I
My
mean,
my grandmother was mom's mom was that way too. She never called it margarine. It was always oleo.
mom said she thought that was the greatest thing
Get
since
me,
sliced bread.
boy, go to the fridge, the ice box. She never called it the refrigerator. Go to the ice box and get me some oleo.
the oh, what did I say? What was I saying? Oh, mom just thought that she thought margarine when it was invented was the greatest thing that you thought man had walked on the moon or something. She thought that she was over that churning butter stuff. And we never had real butter in my house until years after I left. She started baking more with it and buying real butter to bake with, but she still ate margarine on the table.
Right.
And she didn't like butter. She didn't want nothing. She didn't drink milk either. And I didn't. I don't think I grew up not drinking milk because my mother didn't like to drink milk, and then my brother picked it up because Dad did like milk. But I don't know. It's just strange what you grow up with, I guess.
I can sit down and drink a gallon of milk. I could do that right now.
I haven't had a drink of milk, and I can't tell you when.
And I don't even, and if it's got a blue lid on it, I ain't drinking it. If it ain't real milk, I ain't drinking. I only
you
drink the red top stuff.
you want whole milk, is what you're
I want
saying.
whole milk.
That's what Brenda's dad
My,
used to
my
refer to.
wife wants to buy 2 or 3 milk cows, and I'm like, okay, that just ties us harder to the property.
True.
Twice a day, every
Yeah.
day.
That's right. You can't miss milking. It's what Brenda's dad always called Blue John. He was always talking about not liking Blue John, which is what he was calling it. Was the blue cap milk. It was thinner, and in his mind it wasn't the same thing. Brenda, you're welcome to speak up anytime.
You just water it down, it ain't milk no more.
Well, that's I guess not. See, I never cared one way or the other, but I can't remember if it was margarine or butter that used to come with a color. Oh, it was margarine, Kay. It was margarine. It was oleo. That's what Mom said. She used to put the yellow coloring in it to make it
Kay
yellow.
likes the red cap stuff.
Well, growing up, that's all we had, and I didn't. You didn't.
They
I didn't
didn't
even know
make.
there
They
was
didn't
something else.
even make that watered down junk.
I mean, growing up in school, you got a carton of whole milk every day for lunch, and or
Yeah, but it was
gave.
just some little half pint
Well,
deals.
yeah, unless you, I knew kids that got extra. I would have probably give you mine if I'd known you, because I didn't care anything for it. I would have traded mine off. No,
See,
he would definitely
that's the
not drink
one.
anything.
That's the one liquid I can drink, and it cools me down like immediately. Like,
See, I never liked it when it was hot at school. Oh, I always,
no, I
I
don't mean. I mean like if I'm hot, like if I've been out building fence or something, and I drink like a cold glass of milk. Oh my god, it just like brings my body temperature down.
well, what I meant was like hot weather. I didn't like it. I didn't like even cold milk. I didn't like it. It just, I
Well,
think
you
there was
just don't
something.
like milk.
Well, that's the bottom. Yeah, that's the bottom line.
That's the bottom
I just don't
line.
like milk. I never have. Now I like ice cream, which has got milk in it. I can eat it that way. I can take
We
it that way.
we Grandpa had Guernseys, and I'd help him milk, and then we'd like put that in the cool house outside. And in a little while, it'd be just right, and I'd go in there and just drink out of the bucket.
Here's something that's Dad used to talk about. They grew up. They had dairy
He'd
cattle.
come out with a big old cream
Yeah,
cream mustache.
mustache. They had dairy cattle, and they milked by hand. Which is why they eventually got out of that business. They were trying to milk by hand. They couldn't make any money that way anymore. But anyway, I don't even remember what kind of cows they had, but they milked, and Dad talked about that. They would, of course, put a lot of it in cans and sell it. They had big old milk cans.
Yeah,
They'd fill them milk cans up, and the guy'd come by in a truck, pick them up, I guess every day, and take the milk to market or wherever they took it. And but they kept some at home. And Dad said they'd set a bucket. They'd have a fresh bucket of milk, and they'd set it on the porch and let the cream rise off the top. And then I guess they'd skim that off, and then they'd
churn
drink the milk.
you churn that
Yeah,
into butter,
right.
and you drink the milk. But there's always a little bit of that cream like in there. It's mm.
Well, that's kind of how it's sort of how he described it too. He talked about that. That was one of his favorite things.
Unpasteurized right out of the cow.
And he said, I got real milk with cream still in it once. My dad said, shake it up. I thought I did until a lump of cream came out of my cereal. I tell you what I did once, Kay. I made some ice cream, homemade ice cream, and a little electric machine that somebody given us, and I used um, heavy cream in it, and I guess I put too much in it, or I ran it too long. I did something, and it actually churned it. And when I ate the ice cream, it had chunks of butter in it.
Yeah.
I thought that's different. I don't know if Brenda even remembers that or not, but I can't remember what kind of ice cream it was. She may not have eaten it, but I remember. I remember every once in a while I'd get a bite of something that was just butter. I churned milk to make butter. It was hard work. It can be. Um, Somebody makes it. I've seen somebody actually take it and make it in a jar, like a mason jar, and just shake it up and kind of make their own butter that way. They may even make small containers to do
We've
that with
got
now.
we've got some hand crank churns that you that actually came with a glass jar. You just
I've
screw it
seen
on
those.
top of that and you turn it. We don't have the jars. We just have the mechanism for making butter. But
It's like a paddle.
It's a paddle deal. It looks
rotate,
like a
right?
paddle wheel.
Yeah, I have seen those. I've never tried to use one. That's why Mom didn't want milk. She said they
Well,
used
we
to
used to
sit
make
out on the
ice
back
cream
porch
all
and
the time,
make
but we had
butter.
a hand crank ice cream churn.
Yeah, well, we did too. I did that a lot. That used to be a thing. Ice cream socials, you
That
know.
was like a social event. Like we get
That's
together in summertime and make ice cream and
right of summer, man. You go crank out ice cream and have it. Brenda says she's seen kids in school do the butter thing with, I guess, jars or something for class experiments.
oh
I
yeah.
don't know. I think that's not a bad idea. I kind of wish I had some way to do it. I bet somebody makes some kind of an electric churn. I bet you could use to make butter. Then you wouldn't have to sit there and sing that song, come butter." And Mom said they used to have something. They used to sing or do something with their butter.
So you're not, it's like cadence, so you don't have to think about what you're doing.
What you're doing, yep, exactly. I,
Well, I'm gonna take off.
well, I'm gonna go too because it's nearly 12:30. So we're just killing time at this
Yeah,
point. So,
I got other killing to do. Rat kill.
well,
I got a rat killing.
sometime the next day or two, call at me. I want to ask you a couple of questions about
Hide
critters.
tanning.
Yeah, I'll try to remember exactly. I think I wrote down something here somewhere. But Kelly's got some things she wants. Somebody's got some sheep, and they've given her a couple of lambs that didn't survive birthing or the winter or something. And she
Sheep
was
are
trying to,
tough to tan, but
huh?
sheep are tough to tan, but
Well, she also has some other. She tried to do a fox mask. She skinned a fox skull out face, and
yeah,
it messed up on her. And she's trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out, tell her what to do to keep it, make sure it gets good and clean and dried out, and that kind of stuff. But I had a couple of questions.
it's
I haven't heard.
all it's all manual labor. That's the
Oh
whole
yeah.
deal.
Well, she seems willing to do that part. I mean, help. She's out there skinning them herself. Using that skinning knife I bought her for a Christmas present.
Nice.
She says that thing works pretty good, but she said I still need a couple other ones. She'll have a whole pocket full before it's over now.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, we're just getting ready to leave, buddy. You just got back in time to say bye. Unless you brought donuts.
I
You
am
brought
leaving.
donuts. All
So
right, Mark. We'll see
good
you
to
later,
see
buddy.
everybody. Later on.
Take, take care. Talk to you soon.
All right.
All right. Be safe out there. All right, guys. We're going to shut her down. Dave DDD. That's a good way to say that. Time to make my potato leek soup. Mama has been bugging me to make it. Oh man, potato leek. I wonder how that's different than just potato soup. Some people I know I've had something like that before. I love potato soup now. I really do. Anyway, all right, guys, I'm going to shut this off and go see what else I need to do today. If nothing, then take a nap because I hadn't had any sleep, so I might do that. Anyway, thanks, guys. Love y'all for being here. Take care and have a great rest of your week. Bye, Mark. Have a good weekend. I think she meant Mark. Bye, Mark. Not by Mark. By Mark sounds like a Kmart or something. Anyway, see you guys. And I'm gonna turn this hit